This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with multi-view, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action, make your Sundays more magical, and also YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
AJ, I thought you were going to shave the beard because you lost Stump the Shaw yesterday.
But are we playing the game today?
No, not today. So you're saying you won't shave until you play again?
Most likely.
Okay. That's fine.
Getting a haircut this weekend, so that's probably when it will go.
You have a spot in town yet? You just go wherever?
I just go wherever, pretty much.
I hear you.
So, I appreciate the recommendation last time. They did an all right job.
All right job.
And all right, hey, all right's good enough for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got no room to talk.
Well, he also wears hats.
True that.
I do wear a lot of hats.
Hey, if you get more than an all right haircut, you can ditch the hat. You'll want to show off the haircut a little bit more.
That'll be a possibility.
I when I was your age, in high school, college, into my few years here working at the station, I wore hats all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. Everywhere I went, I was wearing a hat. But it was Sean Rock that said, "Man, you got great hair. Why are you wearing a hat?" I'm like, "Well, that's what everybody did growing up. Everyone just wore hats." Like,
right.
No, you're not going bald. You got a great head of hair. You show off that hair. So I started doing it. I was like, yeah, guess I do got this great hair, which is, by the way, very long right now. Everybody's been giving me hell about how shaggy it is, how I look. I'm a spitting image of Justin Bieber.
Oh, dear Lord.
I know. Some real
Hey, he's
heat.
got a birthday in a few days. Give him some grace.
I've been telling everybody though. I'm doing a soccer game, K-State soccer game on ESPN Plus on September 1st. Filling in for Brian Smoller, getting back out there calling some soccer like the good old days. And I figured out a long time ago the way I get my hair cut when it starts to grow out a little bit and really take form is 2 weeks in. So I'm waiting for 2 weeks out. I'll get the haircut. That way I'll be on point to be on camera.
So
Makes sense?
You'll be wearing a suit on ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah.
At a soccer match.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of wearing a suit for an outdoor sport.
Yeah.
Like, I've always felt if you're doing a college football game or an NFL football game, why does the crew have to wear suits? You know? Mm-hmm. I've never agreed with that part of it.
Yeah, but you notice how quickly they shed those suit jackets.
Especially
once
like
the camera's not on.
Couple of months, it's hot.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to wear a suit.
Yeah.
It's got to be 90, and then, okay, you can wear a polo.
So when was the last time you wore a suit?
Oh, geez. It's been a while. Lindsay got me a pocket square. I think it was it Christmas? Or I can't remember what holiday it was. But I haven't had a chance to wear it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do so if I
Because
figure
you're
out how
usually
to
wearing
fold
like the
it
Big
up.
12 polo or a K-State thing when you're
Well, yeah,
PA.
for PA announcing. Unless it's a K-State football game, we could just wear K-State polos.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, AJ Shaw with you for 2 hours. In hour number 2, we're going to hear from K-State defensive coordinator Joe Klanderman and defensive tackles coach Mike Tuiasosopo. It's a big defensive week for the K-State press conferences, which are all done for the week. And we got a lot of content to get through the next 4 days. So we'll hear from both of those coaches. The prediction for today. It is number 7 of our 20 shows left for K-State football kickoff on August 31st. The question today is, Will K-State go undefeated in non-conference play? UT Martin at Tulane, and then a Friday night game against Arizona will be the non-conference opponents. And here in hour number one, of course, we'll have Jabroni of the Week. Very special guest joining us in about 20 minutes. Ross Dellenger, who's the senior college football writer for Yahoo Sports, will be joining us at 4:30 to shoot the breeze about college football. Now, Troy, you had an interesting morning. Let me cue up. Let's set the mood here.
There you go. Perfect.
You had jury duty today.
Yes, I did.
Anything exciting to report about that?
That I didn't make the cut? No. I actually was in the secondary group anyway, so I wound up not having to answer any questions. And
so it's boring. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Did you see my favorite pastor this morning?
Yes. Our friend at First United Methodist did, by the way.
She made it in?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then.
So,
well, we'll probably still see her on Sunday, though.
That's a given. It's only supposed to be a trial through tomorrow, yeah. So.
Oh, so it's quick. Are you allowed to say what the trial is?
No, I'm not going to go into it.
Okay. After?
Yeah. But just because the fact that I was in the room for jury, potential jury duty, I think I'll hold off until it gets taken care of. But in general, yeah, I did my duty for the week.
I'm 33, still a long life to go to potentially serve on a jury, but no, I've never got the thing in the mail, never been called in for jury duty ever.
I have had it one other time, and they reached a settlement before we even got called in that morning.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that was helpful. Monica has gotten not just one here locally, but she got one while we were gone for her surgery. She received one for federal court in Topeka.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one was given a pass real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but given her state of
makes sense. For
being
sure.
unable to speak and all of that at the time. So,
yeah.
But found that rather interesting because that's the first time I'd seen a federal summons for either of us for jury duty.
I have never been called in here. Granted, I am not a resident of Kansas. I still have an Illinois driver's license, Illinois voting record, stuff like that. I do not know if I've received letters at home while I've been away at school. But I have not been called in for jury duty since I turned 18.
You would think your parents would let you know if you did.
Yeah, they haven't told me. So
Wait. So you've lived in Kansas for how long now?
I've been here about 5 years.
And you still have an Illinois driver's license? You still have an Illinois license plate?
Yeah. I've just never changed it.
Okay, maybe fill me in. I'm not sure, but is that technically okay to go that long as somebody living in a different state to still have Illinois license?
So I don't know.
Given that up until this point he's been a student, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So if you're a student, that slides.
Correct.
Yeah. And I never knew if I was going to change it or not. Like a year ago, I don't know if I was going to still be working here.
Well, I don't know who told me, but somebody once upon a time said, yeah, when you move to a different town, a different state, typically there's like a 6 month, timeline to where you need to get things switched over, or you could get in trouble or something. I don't know. I heard that it was from a reliable person, so I just kind of lived by that law. But I've lived in the same spot for almost a decade. So,
and you weren't in New York long enough where you had to change anything. So
nope, a little less than 6 months for NYC. But I was kind of tempted. However, I then realized the wait to get into a DMV or somewhere to get your license changed or whatever was a long time.
This was also back in the days where you couldn't go online and schedule an appointment.
Well, I mean, there's 8 million people that all go to the same.
True. That's true.
And at that point, that was before you could do anything online, or it was all in person.
And it again goes to my point that I bring up rather often. We tend to forget, but we really need to remember and approach it this way. Government tends to be customer service, first and foremost. Things like the DMV.
Yeah.
But we underfund our customer service.
Man, let's start putting some TVs in these DMVs,
right,
or something. I haven't been to a DMV in a while, or I've not. I always go to what's the place by the courthouse, the county clerk's office or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go. I don't go to an actual DMV.
Right,
that is on 24 going out of town, down east. Anyway. We got to get to some K-State football topics here because, well, actually to lead off, this was very interesting from today's press conference. I'm just going to play some audio from some defensive players, and I want to notice if you guys, if you hear a trend, a common denominator about what's being talked about. And I have 3 clips. I'm just going to tell you the question that was asked, the player that's answering, and just play the clip. 3 clips from Jordan Riley. What the defense will do better with him on the team and just what he's felt and seen from fall camp so far.
Turnovers. Looking at film last year, we left a lot of things on the board, a lot of missed fumbles, drop picks. So we feel like more turnovers this year will kind of be our go-to.
For Jordan Riley, who's of course going to be most likely the starter at Jack safety, replacing Kobe Savage, who's impressed him in that secondary?
Donovan McIntosh. He's been getting picks left and right. Like it's ridiculous. I think he's been averaging like 2 picks a practice, and this has been in like team reps and team settings. So he's really flashed.
And now I'm playing these actually in order in how they were asked. The last question was, what is the defense doing best in practice right now?
Turnovers. We've been getting picks, fumble recoveries. It's ridiculous because I didn't really see it because in spring ball we were kind of still trying to fill out what type of team we wanted to be. But since day one we've been getting fumbles and picks left and right.
And then one more clip I want to squeeze in here from starting corner. This is from Jacob Parrish and him talking about the safeties that have been impressing him.
I mean, Jordan Riley, Marquise Siegel, VJ Payne. But today at practice, Marquise had 3 interceptions. So I feel like he's going to take that next step for this year, and he's going to be a really good player for us.
All right, that's the last clip I have. Anybody notice anything? I feel like Dee Snider in the House of Hair. What do these 3 songs have in common?
Turnovers.
Boy, can the offense take care of the ball?
Right. Yeah, that's...
Boy, it sounds like it's really adding up for this offense. They're having a tough time not throwing interceptions and fumbles, dropping the football on the ground, and then the defense is picking it up. If you remember something about the defense last year, going back and refreshing my memory on some of the numbers, K-State enforcing turnovers last year was actually, along with the offense not coughing up a ton, even though Will Howard had a run there for a little while of like consecutive games, he would always throw an interception, and he had some really close calls later in the season. K-State's turnover margin, I think, was plus 11? That was 5th best in the nation last year. And if K-State would have, I don't have an official count, and this has been kind of a running joke since last year, but if Marquise Siegel would have caught all the interceptions he had a chance to catch, K-State would no doubt lead the nation in turnover margin, and Marquise Siegel would have led the nation in turnovers, or in interceptions. No question. But that's been a running joke. From what I hear, it sounds like it's going a lot better.
Right.
Those kind of mistakes, the dropped interceptions, the close calls on forcing some turnovers, sounds like that's going to change. And this is going to be an elite defense this upcoming season in forcing some turnovers. But what we just heard, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Because let's look at the flip side. The thing is, though, we're probably missing a ton of detail. Exactly. You could say a lot of turnover. How many are we talking about? Who's throwing the football? Who fumbled? Are we talking good on good, ones versus ones? Is it the second string offense versus the first string defense? Or is it everything? Has it been happening in all phases of practice, and the defense is just full of studs that have overmatched the offense so far in practice? Those are a lot of questions I have zero answers for. One thing I'll say, and maybe I'm not even allowed to say it, I have my sources right. What I've heard so far, is that the defense is kicking some major ass. That's kind of my way of saying what I've heard so far. The way I look at it, and maybe this is just me putting a positive spin on things, but I think this is certainly an okay way to look at it. The K-State defense is way more experienced than the offense. Mm-hmm. If you think about the install, the changes of what the defense is dealing with and what they're learning, Dylan Edwards was not here for spring ball. You now have a new offensive coordinator. You got a new guy calling the plays. You have a new quarterbacks coach. You have a new quarterback. You have a whole new, not a whole new, but new backup quarterback, a darn near whole different offensive line that does have experience. And you bring in some more weapons at wide receiver. They're probably going through more of a grind than the defense is. Want to shout out KSU_fan that was helping out with some prep. Let's put it that way. Not necessarily with me. We're all in a group text with some other people, but did share a neat little stat or whatever. But on the K-State defense, there are 7 guys on the team that have at least 10 starts in their career. The offense has 2. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
The offensive line, nobody other than, here at K-State and Hadley Panzer have more than, have double-digit starts. Everybody else, the most is Carver Willis with, I believe, the first 7 games of last year. Everybody else, very few.
One of the things that stands out to me in that, you're also talking about how the offense has changed in terms of who your quarterback is. And he's a sophomore, has 1 start under him, had a limited playbook, essentially, up until this point. He's working with, for the most part, a newish group of receivers, guys that have experience but not beyond Keenan Johnson. You've not got a lot of experience out there at receiver, specifically. About the only, experience that you can state in terms of games started is DJ Giddens in the backfield.
Yeah, DJ is the other player that has double-digit starts.
So to me, it's not all that surprising that turnovers would be an issue, especially when you start to talk about the mobility that Avery has, and guys are going to do a little bit of ball hawking in the preseason too. Guys are looking for that chance.
Well, and as we've covered the Cats the last couple of weeks, we've been doing press conferences and just the hype from the spring, and even going back to last year, you had probably the second best defense in the conference that against the pass.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Yes.
K-State had top 15 numbers in stopping the pass in some categories. The way the secondary is lined up, this could be, and I think will be, a very elite group. That rivals some of the best secondaries that K-State's ever had. I think it's that good. Mm-hmm. And they're all veterans.
Right.
You add in Jordan Riley, but he's been a guy for 3 years at the Group of 5 level. He doesn't have an interception in his career, which is actually very surprising. But man, does he have a ton of tackles, and people cannot stop hollering about his speed and the way he goes and hits people.
Right.
It's so there's a ton of experience back there. And the way things are starting to lay out, and just the feeling that I have is I think it's pretty clear that the defense has more depth than the offense.
Yes.
And now we're hearing, we actually might have some very intriguing position battles. It sounds, I think potentially Mike linebacker is open right now. Because Alec Marinko has been hurt. Mm-hmm. And Austin Romaine is having a really great camp. He's had a really great summer. Bo Palmer, is certainly going to fight for some playing time. He's going to get some playing time. And I'm sure there's more guys. Terry Kirksey, he on defense, and when it comes to the most improved, I don't think nobody's being mentioned more than Terry Kirksey, who's a transfer from Hutch. Offensively, I don't think they have that much depth. I think they do at some positions, and some is just a wait to see what happens. But it's not like it doesn't have the elite talent. And it's a good thing that that defense that they're facing in practice is on their side. Because from what we're hearing right now, and the defense can be that good on Saturdays, it can be that good. So take it as positives and take it as a lot of faith in the coaching staff that the offense, if they are having their struggles, they're going to work them out.
Right.
They have enough talent to not sweat this. Let's take a break. When we come back, very special guest Ross Dellenger, the senior writer from Yahoo Sports on college football, will join us next on The Game.
You're in The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Really looking forward to launching another season of PowerCat Game Day. We are 18 days away from that, the largest pregame show in the Big 12 as we stretch across the state of Kansas with all of our affiliates. And that'll start 4 hours prior to kickoff, 2 p.m. August 31st, UT Martin.
2 weeks worth of essentially summer drills and then a week worth of your standard prep, and it's game day.
And it slows down right as you get 3 weeks out. All the press conferences, all the discussions.
Yep.
We pumped the brakes a little bit, but it'll be here before we know it. And very close to a sellout, August 31st. Less than 200 tickets available, I do believe, before we have the official sellout at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Let's continue our discussion of college football as we welcome in from Yahoo Sports. He is the senior college football writer. It's great for the first time to speak with Ross Dellenger. And Ross, I really appreciate you coming on the show to talk some college football. And I noticed on your Twitter account, your banner photo is of a crawfish boil. And I know you're a Louisiana guy, but do you get many of those in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I have to put them on myself to get them in Washington, D.C. usually, which I do once or twice a year. I have crawfish shipped up through FedEx or some other carrier, and because you have to boil them live, of course, so they ship them up in dry ice, and I boil them up here in D.C.
You used to cover LSU. How elite was the tailgating at LSU?
Oh man, yeah, it's pretty incredible. Words can't do it justice. It's the scene is you can imagine just as far as the eye could see. Boilers, grills, the smell of bourbon in the air, and beer, and maybe a little vomit from the night before, because LSU often starts the party Thursday night or Friday of a game weekend. So it's pretty intense. What makes LSU probably different than so many other tailgating scenes is the diversity down there when it comes to the food and the culture, like the crawfish, shrimp etouffee, jambalaya, gumbo, a lot of different foods that you maybe wouldn't find normally in a tailgating scene. They have down there.
Yeah, in my opinion, the best cuisine in America will be found in the Bayou area, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. We were just down there covering K-State for the Sugar Bowl not too long ago. Love the area, love the food. So I'm sure this offseason you've been covering a whole lot of things that has to do with off-the-field stuff, and it's been a very busy offseason, not only with conference realignment. Another thing that came out not too long ago was, Coach Prime at Colorado, Deion Sanders. I mean, he had some backlash for a couple of members of the media just a few days ago, which I believe was actually on his birthday as he turned 57. What's your take right now on the on how strong Coach Prime has a hold on right now the program at Colorado? Because this may be a lack for a better term, but it feels a bit messy right now.
Yeah, I saw that clip where he kind of would not take a question from a certain local network because the national network had written something that he didn't like about his, I believe about his family. And then he had a separate exchange in the same news conference with a local columnist who is respected in the journalism industry. It's sad to see those things. Usually, those things, happen in news conferences and such when things aren't going well, right, at a program. So you wonder, how things are going behind closed doors there, and there's certainly a ton of pressure on Dion to win, and to win now, right? Because he will almost certainly lose his two sons to the NFL, Shadir and Shiloh, and then he'll lose arguably the best, player in college football in Travis Hunter, certainly the best two-way player in college football in Travis Hunter. So this is a big year where he needs to win. You can talk all you want, right? We hear a lot of talk these days from Dion, his sons, and in Colorado in general. Time to back it up.
Now, there's another story out there that, here in Big 12 country, or maybe not necessarily looking over and keeping up with it every day, but it has to do with the ACC and, Florida State, Clemson, not wanting to write big checks to get out of the ACC. And you reported a few days ago that mediation is now about to take place between Florida State and the ACC through a mediator, maybe trying to just come to a common ground and try to figure some things out. Right now, what's the gut feeling that with this mediator that's going to actually happen and they're going to come to some sort of agreement either weeks or months down the road?
Not likely for there to be an agreement during the mediation. I mean, you never know, right? But the ACC has not shown any signs at all that they're willing to settle in any way with Florida State. And I don't know that Florida State is willing to agree to hundreds of $1 million in an exit fee, because that's what the estimates are. Is that it would be more than 500, maybe even more than $600 million it would cost to leave the conference. So, and the ACC just hasn't shown an ability to even agree to even that much, and I don't think Florida State would pay that much. So I doubt that mediation would result, at least this week, and certainly in the coming weeks, in a resolution. The mediation, is court ordered, right? It's something they had to do, is show, quote, good faith mediation. That's what the judge ordered back in April. This is something they had to do, but it's also something that, could lead eventually to some resolution. I wouldn't necessarily expect it from these talks, and I'm not sure these talks will last very long.
Similarly, everybody keeps waiting for the settlement of the House matter to be taken care of with the NCAA, and we're starting to now see some of the smaller sport athletes expressing displeasure with what that agreement looks like. How much did the NCAA want to get that locked down before the school year opened?
Yeah, well, I mean, the both sides, the plaintiff lawyers in the case, and I think the NCAA lawyers and NCAA officials, as well as the commissioners of the Power Conference schools, they wanted to get this done this month. They asked for a move up of the date for the judge to preliminarily approve the settlement. The judge did not move up that date. It still remains as, I think, September 5th is the hearing date where the judge will presumably preliminarily approve the settlement, despite all the objections, as you mentioned, and some of the issues going down. The expectation by many is Judge Wilkin of California, she will approve the settlement. You never know. But after that, this is just a prelim approval. So after that, there's still a 90-day, I think, period for more objections. I think you'll find that even after that, there's hearings that will probably unfold So if you do the math and you factor in holidays, Thanksgivings, Christmases, you're into January, February of next year before a final hearing, approval hearing will happen. So this thing's going to stretch quite a bit.
The bad part about both of these topics that we just hit on is that they're legal topics that overshadow what is going to be a very good college football season in front of us.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Maybe the most anticipated college football season in the history of the industry. Certainly the most recent history of the industry. You have an expanded playoff. For 50 years, college leaders have been trying to come up with a true expanded playoff, and finally it's here. And so you got an expanded playoff. You've got obviously realignment. The biggest realignment wave we've ever seen has created some pretty interesting matchups, big matchups, in some unusual ones in some of these conferences. Big Ten and ACC swelling to 18 members, SEC and Big 12, 16 each. Usually you'd look at the week-to-week schedule in college football, and there would be as many as 4 or 5 weekends where there aren't many top 25 matchups. Well, this year it's every week. You've got a top 25, if not a top 15 or top 10 matchup. And a lot of these are conference games born out of the realignment we've seen.
Speaking with Ross Dellenger, the Yahoo Sports senior college football writer, a couple more for you. And I totally agree. Most anticipated college football season in our era, I think absolutely, with the expansion of the college football playoff. We do realize here in the Big 12 that, they're behind the Big Ten and SEC when it comes to the pecking order on, how many just might get into the college football playoff this year. But I do agree that with, like what Brett Yormark said at Big 12 Media Days, the parity that the conference can deliver, I think we're just waiting for just an entertainment explosion out of the Big 12 potentially this season with the star power and just the overall possibility on how many teams can have a shot at a Big 12 championship. Just your thoughts on, do you believe the Big 12 is wide open this season, or do you agree with some members of the media and fans that, maybe it is just a Utah and K-State or maybe throw in Oklahoma State that have certainly a clear shot at the Big 12 this year?
No, it feels pretty wide open to me. Obviously, I think Utah, and they're given their past, their history, going back 6, 8, 10 years in the Pac-12, would lead me to believe that, maybe they're further ahead than everybody else in the Big 12. But it feels like, the Big 12 has probably more parity, but they don't have bottom dwellers as much as some other leagues, or they don't have the powerhouses either as some other leagues. So everybody feels bunched up, and that can be fun, right? That could produce some really fun and exciting games and results. It also could leave the Big 12 in a sticky position at the end of the season when everybody has like 3 or 4 losses and they can't get in a second team in the Big 12 in the college football playoff, which is a fear. It's a fear from Big 12 leadership, I know, and that could happen. But it does feel wide open. It does feel like a ton of parity. I think you mentioned obviously Utah and Kansas State and Oklahoma State, but Arizona with the quarterback and the new coach there. You look at Kansas again. They have Lance Leipold has done an incredible job there, and he returns his quarterback if he can stay healthy. Yeah, you look at some things they could do there, and even down at places like Baylor, you wonder if they can get it going again with Dave Aranda. Now that they pay players, as they recently wore on their shirts.
Well, Ross, to wrap up here, kind of a fun one that I see it as fun now that the college football playoff is now to 12 teams. it's less of a discussion who may be, the top 4 or 5. It's no longer who's the 5 and 6 left out of the playoff. Now you're looking at 12, 13, 14. Do you have a group of dark horses that you see that maybe we're not talking about enough, not just in the Big 12, around college football, that you feel like will make a legit push and should be contenders for the college football playoff?
Yeah, I think the Kansases and the Arizonas, those teams we just mentioned in the Big 12, certainly qualify. Nebraska in the Big 10, maybe kind of a sleeper. Iowa, new offensive coordinator at Iowa, return a ton of players there. I could see them maybe surprising some folks this year. If you look at the ACC, you've got Miami, which always has plenty of hype before the season and hasn't met that hype, but maybe this is the year. Cam Ward at quarterback from Washington State, maybe Mario Cristobal and crew can put it all together. Wouldn't surprise me if they make an ACC run. And in the SEC, as far as surprise teams, be on the lookout a little bit for Missouri. Now, I know they had a good year last year, so I don't know how much surprising they'll do, but I could see them also making a run.
Well, Ross, I really enjoy your work, and thank you for coming on to the show. Great to talk to you for the first time, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon down the road. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Ross Dellenger, he is the senior college football writer for Yahoo Sports, joining us here on The Game. Let's wrap up hour one. When we come back, it is Jabroni of the Week after these words.
Your home for K-State sports.
K-State will run it. Here's Deuce. Deuce breaks a tackle. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. He's in the house. He's in the house. Touchdown, Cats.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You jabronis hit the jackpot.
That Hollywood blonde jabroni, Hulk Hogan.
Al, is this jabroni's name?
Jabroni of the Week.
All right, here we go, boys and girls, to wrap up hour number one. Let's crown a new Jabroni of the Week. We go through the Jabroni of the Week process, as in I go through a couple of websites and pick out jabronis.
And there's no due process on this program when we do Jabroni of the Week.
I do a better job of, as it happens, through football season on the weekend, if I'm watching or something pops up that I didn't see, I just kind of throw it in my phone in the old notes and remember on Tuesday, but a little different. There's a lot of sports going on I don't typically cover, like the Olympics. They're fun to watch, but it's hard to keep up with everything. So it's our final week to get some Olympic stuff in there. So dishonorable mention number one is going to go to Australian field hockey player Tom Craig, who took a humongous gamble while in Paris. He and the team, after medaling, decide to go out, go have some fun. He decides to, though, step away a while from the crew and go on a different excursion. What he decided to go do is buy cocaine.
Oh.
So he found a dealer. The dealer and them, they're talking. Well, guess what? Here comes a cop. Just walks right up on him.
Oh, the dealer was an undercover cop?
No.
Okay.
The dealer was not in. It was not a setup.
Okay.
The dealer got arrested too. No word on the dealer. But here's the deal. Over in France, they take cocaine possession extremely seriously. Just having a little bit on your person can land you 7 years in prison.
Those who brought us jazz have a problem with cocaine. I'm just saying.
Here's the deal, though. This is why he's just the first honorable mention. They let him go with just a warning. No fine, no charges. He will not have a criminal record after this trip to France. So this is a very big this was a close call for old Craig.
Try getting away with that here in this country.
I'm not going to try.
Yeah, right.
There's enough track record for some people that there's plenty out there.
I don't need another jury duty notice, thanks.
My second dishonorable mention is going to go to Red Sox outfielder Jarren Duran.
Yep,
Am I saying his name?
Happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, again, though, it's another slap on the wrist type of thing. It was Sunday night as the Red Sox, they're visiting the Astros at Minute Maid Park, and there was a heckler giving Duran a hard time. I don't know why. Just a fan, heckling, doing his thing. Anyway, he turns around, yells at this person, and uses a gay slur. And I'm like, okay, Bob, let's, we should have learned by now that this is not okay. Maybe he only got a 2-game suspension, a very much slap on the wrist for certainly saying something that's totally not okay these days. My thought was, like, there are a lot of people saying, oh, this is a violation of his First Amendment rights. Like, well, he didn't get arrested. I don't know if this is necessarily a violation of First Amendment rights. You're out there representing your team.
So if
I got suspended.
If I recall correctly, I don't think he turned around and said it. I think he said it under his breath, and it got caught.
No, he yelled. It got caught on a hot mic. He yelled.
Yeah,
he
yelled.
Did? Okay, I did not see that. I thought he said it under his breath.
The hot mic wasn't hot enough though to make it sound like he was. It was kind of like one of those EMF or not EMF. It's electric voice phenomena. Ghost hunting when they play the tape recorder back, you just hear the very faint whisper of a ghost voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. But it's perfect for John Boy to do videos on.
I've not seen it. Is it good?
No, I have not.
I don't think it's going to take him a week.
It's coming.
Yeah.
John Boy takes a while.
My last dishonorable mention, we got to move this quickly here, is Indian wrestler Vanish Phogat. She was going to wrestle in the gold medal match in the 50 kilogram. She did not make weight.
Uh-oh.
So she was completely disqualified. She didn't even medal because she didn't make weight. That is a big rule, and she was overweight. And then finally, my Jabroni of the week is going to go to George Mason men's basketball. Did you hear about this?
Yes.
They were scheduled to go on a long trip to the Bahamas to play a whole bunch of basketball games, a bonding trip as well for the whole team. They spent over $100,000 on this trip. It turns out they got scammed. When they got to the airport, there was no flights. There was no hotels, no games. They got scammed out of it was like a fight. What is it? Fire Fest, but college basketball version, kind of.
That's a director
without actually going there.
That's a director of operations looking for a new job.
All right, we got to take off. That's done with hour number 1. Hour number 2, Joe Clanaman, Mike Tuiasosopo, undefeated in non-con play. Will the Cats get it done? That's up next.